Any profit you make from selling an asset could be liable for capital gains tax or CGT. This could be as much as 24%, so it's really important that you're aware of how CGT could affect you and factor it into your calculations when determining the quality of an investment. Now, capital gains tax may be applied to any profit when you sell or dispose of almost any asset that is worth in excess of £6,000. There are of course a few exemptions, such as when you sell your car or gift an asset to your spouse or civil partner, and there are also a number of tax-free vehicles you can hold assets in, such as ISAs, pensions and offshore bonds, where CGT just does not apply. So it is important to consider making use of these if you might be affected by capital gains tax. Basic rate taxpayers will have to pay 18% in capital gains tax for any gains that they realise, and higher rate taxpayers will have to pay 24%. So if you purchase shares in a general investment account for say £10,000 and sell them for £30,000, you'll have made a gain of £20,000. If you're a basic rate taxpayer, £3,600 will be levied in CGT and £4,800 will be applied for a higher rate taxpayer. But you do very helpfully have an annual capital gains tax allowance provided by the UK government. Any individual can make up to £3,000 a tax year in realised gains completely free of tax. So if I take that example I just ran through, as long as no gains were made elsewhere, the £20,000 gain could be reduced to £17,000, and so a basic rate taxpayer would only pay £3,060 and a high rate taxpayer would pay £4,080. Using your annual CGT allowance effectively can be a key component of sophisticated financial planning. If you have investments held within a taxable account, a high-quality financial planner will look to make disposals on an annual basis to make use of your annual allowance and continually reduce the gains within your portfolio. They'll typically subscribe the sale proceeds to an ISA or reinvest them into a very similar investment fund before returning them to the original investments after 30 days have passed. As you're probably gathering, this is not a straightforward process, so it's best just to leave it to the professionals if you aren't confident in how to do it. One asset where it's much harder to make use of your annual CGT allowance is property. Unfortunately, you can't really sell portions of a property in the same way you can an investment portfolio, so gains can really build up on buy-to-lets. Fortunately, CGT is not applied to your primary residence, but it is applied to any other properties that you own. Currently, the same rates of CGT I mentioned earlier also apply when selling a second property, as the higher rate was reduced from 28% down to 24% in April 2024. Unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about it, which can often make investing a far more attractive route to take. One of the few ways you can avoid paying CGT on a second home, or in fact any asset, is by offsetting losses made on other disposals against the gain you have realised. This doesn't have to be in the same tax year either, as losses can be carried forward for up to 4 years from the point at which you made the disposal. If you're already making use of tax wrappers like ISAs and offshore bonds, you could also consider other options like venture capital trusts to reduce your CGT position further, but these come with complications, are generally high risk, and are only appropriate in the right circumstance. So, capital gains tax can have a significant impact on your potential profits, and having a really clear understanding of how and when it's applied is key to effective financial planning. It's also really important to ensure that you're active in managing it, particularly when considering your investments. It can be reasonably complex though, so as always, do take advice if it's an area that is significantly impacting you. Because remember, your money really does matter.